Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's Canyon Conversation. Today I'm joined by Linda Sargent. Linda is a volunteer that is responsible for taking care of the many hummingbirds that you see up at the Nature Center. So she keeps them fed and happy up there. Linda, thanks for joining us today. How are you today?
Thanks for having me. I'm doing well, and I love to talk about hummingbirds.
Fantastic. So tell us, I'm seeing a lot of hummingbirds up in the Nature Center. Um, do you have I think there's four species that we have here. Do you have a favorite species or what do we see the most of here?
Well, it changes. So at the very beginning of the season, which will probably be about mid-April, we have calliopes that come through, and they're the smallest and the fiercest of the hummingbirds, but they just stay here for a week or so and then they move on. And at about the same time, we have the broadtails come in and the black chins come in, and they will be here until September or October. And then starting in July, we also have rufous coming in that I think they're migrating back to Mexico. So they're on their way back and they're here for just a short time also. So, they're all kind of special in their own way. And since it's changing, I don't know, I think they're all just really amazing.
They're all very beautiful. It's so fun to watch, and I love watching all of them. And so tell us, how do we attract hummingbirds and how do we make sure that we're feeding them safely? A lot of people put out feeders, and I know they can get into trouble a little bit if our feeders aren't clean and taken care of. So, what do you do to take care of the hummingbirds up in the Nature Center for us?
Well, at the Nature Center, it's kind of a different environment because, for one thing, we don't have a way to boil large quantities of sugar water up there, so we don't. But especially, there's so many birds and they're going through so much food that we don't really worry about it. And so up there, we just mix large quantities of sugar water, and it's 4 cups of water to 1 cup of sugar, and we just mix it really well. And then we make sure that the feeders are really clean. And I think that's the most important things for especially home people, is to just make sure those feeders are clean. And we've been very particular about what feeders we use, feeders based on how easy they are to clean. Because originally up at the Nature Center, there were a bunch of donated feeders, and some of them just, you can't take them apart enough
Yeah.
to get them really clean. So the ones that are up there now were purchased on Amazon. They come apart really easily, and they're big. They're 48-ounce feeders, which most people don't need those in their home, but these ones come apart and you can get a brush into all the little crevices in there and clean them really well, and then make sure they're rinsed really well. And so right now we're going up every other day to fill 8 48-ounce feeders, and in 2 days time nearly empty. And so it's not really an issue for the food to sit there too long and start to ferment, at least not there. At home feeders, I'm sure, is kind of a different deal. And at home too, we've kind of been picky about our feeders. And if I can, if it's
Yeah,
okay, I'll show what
please
we have.
do.
We have gone to 2 feeders that, we've tried everything at home also, and we have these 2 that are what we use now. And they're both just super simple. They just come apart. You can clean inside and out. This one has a little water well that you
Okay.
fill with water, and supposedly the ants go in there. And I think it works because I've never had to clean bugs out of the sugar water.
Well, that's
And
awesome.
this one we bought at a Wild Birds Unlimited in a different state, and there's different sizes of these. For our home, we don't have a lot of hummingbirds here. So this one it's a 12-ounce, and that one works fine for us. This one we bought at the Wild Bird store in Layton, and it's also a very nice, very simple feeder. It's made by somebody called Dr. JB. It just comes apart. This is glass, it's dishwasher safe, although we just wash it in our sink. And then this part comes apart, opens up, and you can get a brush in every little spot in there. So they're just super easy clean, and they're nice size for what we have at our house.
Yeah, absolutely. So I
So
mean,
that's
like,
what we decided on.
yeah. So just looking for something simple, easy to clean. And as you mentioned, most people don't need the large feeders that we have at the nature center. And probably keep a closer eye on it. Maybe at home, if you don't have as many birds, they're not probably going through the food quite as quickly as they do up at the nature center. So making sure you change that out as needed, so it doesn't go bad and contribute to diseases in our hummingbird populations. Um, so tell us, you're up there so much, and there's so many hummingbirds up there, and they're so fun to watch. Is there any behaviors or anything you've noticed about the hummingbirds that you'd like to share or that you just enjoy watching up there?
Oh, there's so many. I can think of one story in particular. I remember last year it was a very small black chin male, and he was so little that he couldn't sit on the perch and reach the hole in the flower of the feeder. And so it had the flower of the feeder instead of the perch. And so he was fun. So we just have all sorts of experiences like that of just really fun little hummingbirds. There's been one, I suspect it's the same bird, that it has just a few spots on its chin, and the spots look orange, which is typically a rufous. And we've gotten a few blurry photographs of it, and we can't really tell if it's orange or pink. And rufous are usually not here this time of year, so we suspect it's actually a broadtail that hasn't developed its full color yet. But that one, we keep seeing that bird over and over also. You know, the other thing is that I think is interesting is their behavior and their aggression. And, you know, you can have a full feeder. I can't remember how many holes are on the feeders up at the nature center. There may be like 8 or 6
Yeah,
or 8.
6 or 8. Okay, I'd have to look, but yeah.
Yeah, and that feeder can be full of females and everybody's fine. Everybody's happy. And a black chin male can come in and everybody's okay. But as soon as the broadtail males come in, it's just absolute chaos. Everybody starts flying and chitting and upset, and everything is disturbed. So we have such a good time watching them and watching the mean ones come in.
Yeah, they're so fun to watch. They'll you said they'll be there, and then one will come, and they all scatter, and they'll chase each other, and it's really fun. Um, so you have some wonderful photos. Let me see if I can bring any of them up. If not,
We've been taking photographs for probably about 10 years. And in fact, I kind of wanted to talk about how this started for my family. And
yes, please do.
it was Corinne Toole, who was a pastor at a Lutheran church in Logan, and she rented one of the houses at Second Dam, and she started feeding the hummingbirds up there. And there were tons of hummingbirds. And so it got to be such a big job for her that she asked if I would help and come up once or twice a week and clean and fill feeders. And so that's how it started. And then Corinne moved away probably 10 years or so ago. And the feeders moved down to the nature center. And of course, they needed somebody to kind of, so then I was asked by the nature center staff if I would help with that. And then that just became a thing.
How many years have you been doing it now? It's been a while.
You know, I'm guessing it's probably around 10, somewhere
Yeah.
around there. There was one year that we just didn't ever connect with anybody and it didn't happen. And I don't know who filled them, but other than that, we've been doing it every year. And so when you asked about this, you know, I started thinking about photos, and we have so many photos that it's just kind of overwhelming. And so I just went with recent ones because every time we go up there, we take a lot of photos. And right now, the birds seem to be more willing for
Mhm.
us to be able to get close to them. And in another month or so, that won't happen. They'll just scatter and they'll be more skittish. So we're able to get right up next to them and kind of be a part of it.
Yeah, so now's a great time if you're a photographer to get up there. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna scroll through some of these photos, and we'll edit these in larger, right? But we've got looks like we've got a black chin male up here flying.
And you know, the second black chin, I posted that one because I hadn't noticed the colors on the inside of its tail before.
Oh
And, I
yeah,
knew there was some green, but there's purple there also, which I had not
there is.
noticed before. And I don't think that's, something reflecting off the tail. I think that color, which is just stunning.
It is. They are stunning. I love that deep, almost purplish on those black chin.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we've got, let's see, it's a female over here.
Yeah, that's a female broad-tailed.
Mm-hmm. All right,
And
let's
you
get
can tell because she has quite a bit of that rufous brown color on her.
it
And she
does.
also has on the very top of her tail, you can see some brown there. And
Yep.
that's one of the differences between a female broad-tailed and a female black chin.
Okay, yeah, and then look, here we've got some male broadtails with that beautiful throat.
And the small one with the stripes, that's actually a calliope. So
Oh,
that's a
nice.
male calliope, and that's
What we
one of the
got?
ways you tell them apart, is they
Yeah.
have the stripes on their throat. And when they're aggressive, those stripes kind of fan out,
Mm.
and then they look quite different. And the other thing about the calliopes is that they're very small. And one thing I notice, but its beak seems much smaller than any of the others. And so that's what kind of makes me take a second look as to what it is. And
Yeah,
those we only have for a few weeks and then they're gone.
they are a lot smaller. Yeah, but that is, you do notice the stripes, and then yeah, that size would be a great indication. Um, Going on down, what have we got on this bottom row?
So they're the orange one, that's a male rufus,
Mm-hmm.
which won't be coming in for another month or so.
Yeah.
And even when they come in, I don't think we have huge numbers here compared to the black chin or the broadtails, but we do get some rufus, special when you see them, because there aren't a bunch of them.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love it when we see just the couple rufus. It's always exciting.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, these are fantastic photos.
A slow motion video too, and it's fun to watch their wing patterns and the way they move their bodies to navigate, but it's also interesting to listen to the slow motion videos. The sounds that they make in slow motion are just so cool.
Yeah, well, they're cool. Like when they're not in slow motion, I'll be up on the trail there and hear them, and you're like, I hear them. Where are they? Before
Right.
you even get to the nature center. So yes, I think folks will enjoy that. So
We could talk about is the volume of food we go through out there, the
that's
volume of
true.
sugar
Yes.
that's used. And this summer I'll keep track. So at the end of the year, we'll have a number of how many
Yeah.
pounds of sugar. But I think we're just starting to hit our peak, which is about 15 pounds of sugar a week. And so we do about 5 pounds of sugar every time we go up there, which I think is just kind of astounding.
It really is. People
That's a lot of sugar.
I'm like, how much sugar I'm buying and how often.
Right.
It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, they're just expending so much energy, those little Hummers. Yeah, just sucking that sugar water down. Um, so how many Hummers during our peak season do you see up there at once? I know I've counted like upwards of 20 sometimes.
Yeah, it's hard to count. And we've certainly been able to count about 20 at a time. And I'm not sure we've ever counted over that, but yet it's so hard to count them when they're moving
They're so
so
fast.
fast. And
Yeah.
it's interesting. We used to have 6 feeders up there. And last summer we added 2 more feeders in hopes that we could go 3 days before filling instead of 2 days. And I think it brought in more birds because we never were able to go past 2 days until things
You're
slowed
still
down.
going just as often, aren't you?
And so more feeders if they would have even more come in or not.
Yeah, so hard to know. Yeah, I'll also link for people that are interested to, I know we have some great resources on planting for pollinators. So hummingbirds, I know they like penstemon and some of the tubular kind of shaped flowers, which is a great way to attract them. So we'll be sure and link some of those resources for some of you guys at home that are looking just to plant some flowers to attract some of our pollinators and hummingbirds. Um, Linda, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your experience with the hummingbirds at the Nature Center over the past decade. We sure appreciate all you do, and I know everyone that visits the Nature Center loves the hummingbirds. So thank you so much for taking time to share your story and what you love about hummingbirds with us today.
You're welcome, and thank you. We just enjoy our time up there so much. So it's really a privilege for my family and I to go up and just hang out up there because it's just a great experience. So
It
thank
is.
you.
You're welcome. Yeah, and I hope everyone gets a chance to get up there and take some time to just enjoy the hummingbirds and yeah, the beautiful scenery up there at the Nature Center. So until next time, guys, thanks for joining us for today's Canyon Conversation. Bye-bye.